You can see you can see my screen, right, Athena?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, awesome, wicked. Well, welcome to this week's Zoom call, guys. Today we're going to cover a little bit about your why, remembering your why, how to stay kind of driven, how to stay motivated because you of that end goal that you had in mind when you started. All right. We don't lack motivation. We forget the mission. We forget why we started this. We forget why we really wanted to do it in the first place. Okay. So the problem is, you've likely lost your drive potentially, the drive you started with. You kick things off. Obviously, everyone at the start of their journey, and they decide they want to lose some weight, they decide they want to get healthier, fitter. They're super motivated, lots of intent, loads of energy, and are really, really keen to make some change. But somewhere along the way, it could be after a week, it could be after a couple of months, that can start to fade. And we can kind of just start to cruise in autopilot. Um, and it's not because you're not quitting. You start to coast. You start to do the things, but not necessarily think about why you're doing the things, and that might leave you in a gray area where you're it feels like your spark is gone, as it says, and you start questioning if you're making progress, any progress. It can kind of like muddy the waters, and you don't really know why you're doing it, and if you're getting there, and even if you're that worried about it, you kind of end up in a limbo point. And it's common, it can be a long process. And you know people in people's journeys, some people have it real smooth and some people have a proper up and down roller coaster journey. um and some people just have that innate drive where they are constantly looking towards the end goal. And for some people, it just kind of like you go through the motions, and it's something where, like, I know for myself, there's definitely things in the past that I've started that I'm super motivated for at the start. But after a week or a couple of weeks or a month, I just don't have the same drive. And it's kind of similar here. You know, remembering why you started, because that point where you made that decision to start is always where you'll have the most motivation, the most kind of you'll be the most eager to do it. And so actually, um it's super common. It's super common. And it's just a point where you need a little bit of direction. You need a little bit of kind of you need to step back and you need to think, hold on, why am I doing this? Like, why did I want to? What changes did I want to make? What differences to my health or appearance did I want at the start that I knew would have such a big impact on me? Um, why consistency doesn't feel rewarding as quick initial wins? Of course, if you see the scales drop a kg or 2 kg during the first week or two, that's like super rewarding. You feel that, and that feels awesome, and you can see something happening. But with consistency, like just doing the things, showing up and doing what needs to be done day in, day out, that, especially if we're not thinking about the process goals, thinking about that kind of the journey and ticking those things off every day as wins, then that consistency can just feel like, the process, and it kind of just we end up coasting. And my experience is losing, whilst I was traveling, or cutting, I the first time I did a serious cut, I put on loads of body fat, way too much than I was comfortable with. And I got kind of a month in, and I I was working, and it was the winter during COVID, and I was in a factory. It was cold, and I kind of was going through the motions. And with it being the winter and cold and everything, you'd be wrapped up every day. And I kind of was like, I remember thinking, why am I doing these things every single day? And I was super strict with it. Every day I was hitting my calories. Every day I was hitting my step goal and going to the gym. I was getting up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym before work. And I just remember telling myself, I had a moment and I was looking in the mirror, and I remembered how self-conscious I was with my body, and how much I wanted to change that, and how much I wanted to get to a place where I was confident. And then switch was flipped, and I didn't look back. And every time I kind of I was slightly unsure about moving forward, I always remembered that. So three signs you might be doing this, and you've lost your why. You're doing the actions, you're doing the stuff, you're tracking, you're training, you're doing your steps, but you don't really feel like you have a purpose. You don't really know where it's taking you, or you're frustrated by the slower progress and generally less motivated to show up. So it kind of relates back to last week. If you're less motivated, remember, we need more
Yeah.
discipline to do the things. Um, but absolutely, if your progress slows, then you can forget the kind of where you're going with this journey, because actually you just start focusing on, why is this happening? Why am I not progressing? Um, and then number three, you can catch yourself saying, what's the point? I'll never look like a certain way. Um, especially when progress slows. But it's definitely something that uh, is a real problem. And you just need to step back and kind of look at it from a different angle. Um, and the way this shows up in real life is just kind of, as I said, you end up just coasting. You're no longer kind of looking at how you've got on that week or that month. You're no longer looking at your progress as you were and seeing yourself getting towards that end goal. You're not really worried about your steps. You think, oh, I've only done 5,000 today. Oh, I probably won't be able to get another 5,000 in, so I'm not even going to bother. Gym sessions as well. It's very easy to go into the gym and not really try, just do it, go through the motions. Um, and you know, you're going to be leaving a lot of progress on the table if you do that. And these kind of thoughts, these kind of coasting through these parts of the process, they can just creep in one at a time, little by little. And you may not even realize you're doing it. Like with the sessions, you could very easily think, you're there, you're showing up, you're doing it, and that's enough. But really, if you're working hard, pushing yourself, then um, you know you're going to be making the progress you should be, or you can be. So three reasons why this happens. If you focus on something so hard, like your scale weight or your progress pictures, if you just dial in and focus on one and you can't kind of think about anything else, you have tunnel vision for that kind of metric. And not every week that's going to change, not every week it's going to change that much. So if you're focusing on something that doesn't change, whereas if you focus on the scale weight, the progress pictures could tell a story completely different to the scale weight not progressing. Um, you stop reflecting on how far you've come. So this is definitely a big one. So if you, let's say, are 2 months down the line and you kind of are starting to like lose your lose your drive. Well, I've had this with people for sure. You in that position right there, right then, you're still not at the end point, and you kind of think, I don't feel like I'm making the progress I wanted. just by very quickly looking at the progress picture you started with, that one at the very start, compared to the one you're at now, or the scale weight. You can see the graph, the scale graph. The differences you can see in a couple of months that you may not even remember or realize you've made that much progress are crazy. When I send these pictures to people in check-ins, it is a reality check. And when things like life get busy and you're running on autopilot, again, you can end up just cruising, forgetting why you started, the focuses kind of daily that you need to do to get to your goal and continue progressing to your goal. Um, but those focusing on those physical results can, that's they're going to go up and down. That's part of the process. So if you focus on that too hard and you forget where you're going with it and what your goal is, that can definitely kind of lead to the early signs of burnout. And emotional and lifestyle wins are so important, because that will help with energy and confidence and discipline. And that those little wins during the process will make the end goal seem way closer and way less daunting. And autopilot kills momentum in fat loss journeys. Yeah. You can think, oh, I'm just doing, and it's like, for example, with the gym, if you end up just going in and doing the same weights every week, the same reps, and not looking to progress and push yourself, then you're going to limit the amount of progress you can make massively. With calories, if you end up just eating the same calories because you lost a bit of weight when you ate those calories for a week or two, and you just kind of go on autopilot, cruise, and you just kind of eat the same thing and expect to continue to lose weight, then that's going to kill your progress. So actions you can take now to reignite your why. Okay. So how to reconnect to your mission, your fat loss mission, your health mission, your strength mission, any mission that you are working towards. So number one, write down 3 reasons why you started and keep them visible. Like with myself, I don't have, it's similar in with goals, right? So I have written on my wall by my bed and on the fridge on a little whiteboard my goals with my business for the month. They're there every morning when I wake up. I see it on the wall. Every evening when I'm in bed before I go to bed, I see it on the wall. I want to sign this many clients this month. It's having it there, pen and paper, putting it down, um, can really, really help remind you every single day why you're doing this. Number two, visualize your end goal weekly. What does it look like to be there? Be that person. Put yourself in the shoes of that person. How are they feeling? What are they thinking? How confident are they? You know, visualize it and remember, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be there one day. And then how good will you feel? But maybe pencil in a time every week where you sit down and you just think about that. Number three, track your non-scale wins. So everything other than kind of the physical scale numbers. How energized you're feeling, how well you're sleeping. Like we record this on the check-in form. How confident you're feeling, cravings, things like this. All of these kind of things will help you, will remind you and make you actively think about the process and what you've done well and how that made you feel. Number four, share your progress with somebody. Don't isolate it. So in the group, share your wins, share your progress, share little things. Hashtag share and write something that you're feeling. Announce it to the group or family members, friends. Share your process with them so they know what you're doing. It's just making you consciously think about the process more and more, which is going to keep that why in forefront of your mind. Number five, schedule a 5 minute weekly reflection. So every weekend, maybe, or every Monday morning, or whenever you want to do it, just get into the routine, do it at the same time every week. Think about your wins, what you struggled, and your adjustments that need to be made. This is the check in, this is the check in form that we fill out. Think about what we did well, what we thought was amazing, what we struggled with, and how we need to change things to combat the struggles and keep progressing. So we're already doing it. Yeah. And number six, reconnect with your coach if you feel lost. Don't go silent. If there's any problems, message me, talk to me, tell me what's going on. Don't just start cruising and go quiet. Yeah. Some people do this. And it's not going to benefit them at all. Yeah. I'm here to help. I'm here to try and combat those struggles and work out adjustments. If you need kind of somebody to tell you what you kind of things you were saying at the start and why you started this and why you were so desperate. I don't imagine you'll need that when you step back and think about it yourself, but I'm here to kind of really drill in your why as to why you're doing this. So, some examples, you can put some sticky notes on your laptop or on your wall where the dining table is, or in your bedroom, something like that, of your why. Write it down. Write it on a note on your phone and screenshot it and set it as your lock screen. Why? Your why, or journaling, like writing down those wins every day, or something you've done well, or something you've struggled with, and what you're going to do differently the following day. Just like it's just keeping your mind on the process and making sure you're consciously thinking about it and you're not just cruising towards what you think will be the finish line. But when you start cruising, you're not necessarily going to be getting closer to the finish line. Things like these with the weekly Zoom calls, the impact of them, it just helps you think about things differently, right? Helps you think about the process a bit more and how support and perspective can flip your mindset in one conversation. So I might have said something on this call that might have made you think, damn, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I need to do this. I need to go do this going forward. This is going to really help me continue to progress. Little things like that, or little things that people say in the group. If somebody shares something, somebody shares a recipe, you can think, wow, actually, that might really work for me. That might continue to help me progress. These little things, it's putting yourself in a position where hopefully you are surrounded by reasons why. Final thoughts. This is bigger than just getting a six pack or getting ripped or having big muscles or anything like that. The best results come from those who stay connected to their deeper reasons. It will always be the case, not just in fitness, in anything. If you have a deeper reason, a deeper desire for wanting to achieve something, it might be getting to a certain position in your job, a certain level in your job, because that means salary that comes along with that. It means you can support your family in a way that you've never been able to before. It might mean that, it can be anything. Yeah. The in a fitness example might be, I want to lose this amount of weight because I know it will help me get to a point where I'm healthy enough, so that I can live a longer and happy life, play with my young children where without kind of worrying about being out of breath when I get up off the floor, all these kind of things. Yeah. Staying connected to that deeper reason will um, give you the best results. And discipline is easier when it's driven by a purpose. So we talked about it last week. Motivation is not always there. We need to be disciplined, but discipline will be easier when you are driven by a deeper reason to achieve the end goal. And when you feel lost, zoom out, reconnect, realign, and reset. So when you feel lost, it's part of the process. We all have moments where we struggle. This is where you can connect with me, or you can connect with the group or friends and family around you. Just zoom out and think, why am I doing this? How is this benefiting me, and how will it benefit me in the future? So what I want everyone to do is, ask yourself, what was your original reason for starting this journey, and go and put a hashtag mindset in the group chat, followed by one of your whys. Okay, why you started, why you were so driven at the point where you signed up, or during the process, like you're most driven. Um, Go put it in there, announce it to the group, tell them why. Um, and by sharing that, you'll be getting closer to a point where you feel like you're actively achieving that goal. So yeah, go do that.
Perfect.